I just started recording. Okay.
Like outpatient services and stuff like that. Like
Okay.
outside the hospital.
Yeah. Okay.
Big populations like veterans or like teenagers.
We call those vulnerable populations. Chandra, welcome. What campus are you from?
Fortis Orange Park.
Orange Park. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so my name's Kathleen Marvel, Professor Marvel. I've been with Fortis for almost a couple of years now. Teaching primarily in the RN community and moving into the PN class as well. So I'm super excited to be teaching this and have you guys all as students. I don't know if anybody had a chance to read my bio. Had done all kinds of nursing. Started out in the military, was a Navy nurse, and then moved into the hospital, did NICU, and then moved into administration. I just retired a year ago from school nursing. I was a school nurse in a big district in Colorado for 20 years. So saw lots of things there, and now have moved into education the last couple of years. So super excited. So that's all in my bio is all my contact information. We'll go through all that. Is everybody so far, do you guys have access to your announcements? Is there anybody who doesn't have access to your announcements? Okay. With regards to textbooks, Walter and who else? Walter and I were talking, and who else was talking with us?
Joanna and Carol.
Joanna was talking with us. So I inquired about the textbooks over the weekend and was told that you have access to all three of these textbooks through your other classes. And so what Walter's telling me is in your well, first of all, let me ask, what classes are you guys taking with this class this term?
Med-Surg and
Med-Surg. Yeah, Med-Surg 2 and pediatrics.
Yes.
Okay.
Taking pediatrics and mental health.
You're taking mental health and community? So you're taking 4 classes?
I'm taking 3. This one, mental health and pediatrics.
Oh.
I had to sit a term out because I had fell and broke my ankle.
Okay.
So I was.
So you're taking mental health. You're taking mental health. Are most of the rest of you taking Med-Surg 2 and peds?
Yeah, most of us are taking Med-Surg 2 and peds.
I had
I've
Med-Surg
already
2 and pediatric.
Okay. So let me ask you
I
a
have
question.
Med-Surg 1.
You're Med-Surg 1.
I have Med-Surg 1.
Okay. And some of you are Med-Surg 2. So we're kind of all over the place. So for textbooks, this class is it's in the module, which we'll go through, but this class is requiring Med-Surg Concepts, the 5th edition. Walter's telling me that his Med-Surg, he has the 4th edition. So
yeah, I think we all have like the 4th edition because that's what I have at our school.
Okay, so you guys have the 4th edition, not the 5th. Okay, and this class looks like it's from the 5th, but I'll double check that. That's what's on the module. Fundamentals, you've all taken fundamentals, correct? It's a prerequisite for this class. Okay, so fundamentals, Walter's telling me that he has the Williams fundamental book and that this class is requiring the DeWitt book. Is everybody else in the same boat?
Yeah, we have the Williams edition 6.
Williams edition 6. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. This book.
Yeah, I have the same.
Okay. And that's by Williams, not DeWitt. Right? Okay.
Yes.
Med surge, okay, and then maternity, everybody, at least Joanna and Walter were okay. They had the Lifer Introduction to Maternity and Pediatric Nursing. Everybody have that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
The
edition 8.
Edition 8.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. So that one's all set. So I need to get some more information on your med surge and fundamentals book. Now you guys have already taken fundamentals. You're in med surge, either 1 or 2, and then you've already taken maternity.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so that helps to start off. Okay, so I'll follow up on that. Let's see, what I want to do today is go through the orientation PowerPoint that we have to do every term. And since this is a Monday class, I don't know, has anybody had any classes earlier today in which you went through this PowerPoint?
We just came from a class. We get out of that class at 3 and then come to your class. So we just did the whole PowerPoint.
So you just did the whole PowerPoint. Is that everybody, or are there some?
Yeah.
Okay, raise your hand if you haven't done the PowerPoint. So Walter and Joanna, Teresa, it's 3 people. Dallas, 4. Okay, so I'm going to go through it rather quickly because I want to get into the, I'd like to cover the PowerPoint, and then I want to get into the modules and how I'm going to teach this class and what the expectations are. I'm pretty easygoing, really easygoing, actually. I just consider this a partnership. You have to do your part and I have to do my part. So, but we're all in this together and we're all going to get over the finish line together here. All right, with this community class. So again, my biggest request is communication. It's simple. Just communicate with me. If there are issues going on that's gonna, make you have a late assignment, or something that would have to extend out your exam time, I just ask for early communication. Okay, that's my biggest. I can't do anything in the moment of. I can't. I have a lot of flexibility, but there are certain things I don't have any flexibility for. So you're going to have to meet me halfway on that. Okay. But communication is my biggest request. But you'll find that I'm very easygoing. I'm very flexible. I'm very open to students and meeting with them. And, I'm available to you. I know I have, I'll show you, I just sent you guys the syllabus cover sheet right before class. So I'll pull that up for you. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll start going through some documents. Okay. Does anybody have any burning questions right now? So you guys are just coming from, yes, Walter.
No, I do. I have a question.
Yep.
Because of my schedule at work, it is sometimes very difficult for me to be here on a Monday. Is it okay? I saw on the PowerPoint that it requires for you to have 2 things to consider attendance.
Yes, but attendance at your live sessions is mandatory. So if this is going to conflict with your job, I just sent out an email maybe half an hour ago from Dean Brown that was titled Schedule Changes. So I need you to take a look at that, because it looks like as of Friday, there are no more changes. So she tells you in that email exactly what to do. So if you have a conflict and need to switch out, you've got to follow her email and do what she's asking you to do.
No, I don't mind being here on a Monday. The problem
I thought
is
you
that
said you couldn't be here on a Monday.
No, like my schedule at work changes. And
Mhm.
sometimes if I'm scheduled like on a Monday, 1 Monday or 2 Mondays out of the whole semester, what do I have to do?
Well,
Am
if it's
I allowed to
only
do something
one,
about it?
if it's just a one-off, it's expected that these are mandatory sessions. So if it's only a one-off, I can give you the rest. I teach 2 other PN classes. I teach one on Tuesday mornings from 9 to 11 Eastern time, and I also teach one on Friday nights from 8 to 10. So that
Okay.
would be an option, but like I said, these are just one-offs. If people send me a message and say, hey, I'm not going to be able to get to class, I have an emergency with my kid, whatever, I'll offer you to come to the other classes, but they really are for urgent issues. And I can tell you, Dean Brown will tell you they're not for work issues. If it's a work issue, then you need to find, and it's going to be more than once or twice, you'll have to find a new class. So it's up to
Got
you.
it.
Does that make
Got it.
sense?
Yes.
Dallas, can you turn your camera on? That's one of the things that we're supposed to be enforcing is cameras on. And the other thing we're supposed to be enforcing is no driving. We can't connect you in when you're driving. We have to ask you to shut it down. So, and that's in the PowerPoint. So let's go. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Walter. Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. Let's get into the PowerPoint. Whoops, I probably need to share my screen first. Okay. Can everybody see this? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So just going to go through this. Most of you have seen this, so I'm going to go through this rather quickly. We all know what online learning is. I sent you a copy of this PowerPoint. Did everybody get that in the announcements? So you have access to this. So as I'm skipping through that, make a note if you want to go back and review that particular slide. Okay, so you can review that on your own. Who to contact. This is important. Start with me. Okay, start with, and all my contact information is in my bio. It's also in the announcements I've been sending. So you start with me. For clinical concerns, you go to your campus. Okay, so if it has to do with clinical, SIMS, labs, you go to your campus instructor first, okay, or your campus dean. Okay, so if you can't resolve with me, we're next supposed to go to the pardon me, course lead, and that's me. So if I can't resolve your issues, I'll go to Dean Brown. Okay, and she is down here. I need to move you guys up. She's down here. So you need to write that information down. Okay, you need to have Dean Brown's contact information handy in case you need it. And in the email I sent you earlier, she did about schedule changes. She did provide you all of her information as well. Okay, so this is on slide 3. And my contact information is here as well. That's my personal cell. I don't mind if you guys contact me, sorry, on my personal cell. Just let me know who you are, because obviously I don't have your number saved in my cell phone, but I have no problem with you guys texting me, and I'm usually good about it. Same with email. I pride myself on quick response times. So, okay, oops. Okay, so again, here's your online instructor, contact first for anything. You can email, phone. Okay. You guys at this point should all know about specific weekly start times and end times, right? Everybody knows that, right? So course starts on Monday, ends on Sunday. And usually there are 2 standard activities to complete. Wednesday is usually for discussion posts. And we have our 2 discussions in the first 2 weeks. Okay. Has anybody had a chance to look at the modules or look at the assignments and when they're due and all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then usually everything's due on Sunday, right? With regards to discussions, your initial posts are due on Wednesday like they always have been. And then you need to post 2 responses to peers by Sunday. And then other assignments, quizzes, exams, those are all typically due by Sunday. So you should have very few Wednesday assignments. The first 2 weeks you will, right? So for example, today's Monday. So in 2 days, your initial post to your first discussion question is due. And then I'm usually pretty good about like Thursday mornings after a due date Wednesday night. I'm usually good about, you know, if I haven't heard from you, that's a problem, but I'm usually good about sending out an email to you guys on a Thursday morning about Wednesday things not submitted. And then I try and do the same thing on Monday mornings. So don't wait for my email. And here's how this works. You guys should know the late work policy by now. Okay. It's late work is only accepted with prior approval. And that's the communication I'm talking about, that you're going to be late for whatever emergency reason. But you need to let me know if you're going to be late. And then if it's turned in within the first week, within the first 7 days, it does have a 10% deduction. So if I haven't heard from you, if some of you get an email from me on Thursday morning that I don't have your discussion initial post and I haven't heard from you, you can still turn it in, but it will definitely have a 10% deduction. Now, if I've heard from you and we've kind of agreed on something, then you won't have the 10% deduction. Okay. And then after the 7 days, it's a 0. You get a 0 for the assignment. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, so here's our attendance. Okay, I don't mind if you work ahead. I never prevent anybody from working ahead. However, there has to be 2 submissions per week to grant, you know, a successful week. And obviously the first is attending live lecture. And if for some reason you're not going to be at the live lecture, you need to let me know. Okay, because number 1, I'll offer you and again, it can't be, I can't get to live lecture because of work, you know, unless it's a one-off like we just talked about. So it's expected that you attend all the live lectures. So that's 1 submission. And then the other is an assignment. Okay, whether it's an NCLEX, whether it's a quiz, case study, paper, discussion boards, but be careful working ahead, because if you work too far ahead and you don't have 2 submissions, you don't get credit for that week. Okay. Now I've had students in the past go complete all their NCLEX assignments ahead of time, but just not submit them until the week they're due. Make sense? Okay. So anyone without posting attendance 14 days in a row, you guys know this, will be dropped. You guys know that. Not documented, not done. Okay, so here's the things we really have to enforce. Cameras must be on at all times when you're in class. Okay, you can't be allowed, you're not allowed to drive. You're not allowed to be in class if you're driving. Okay, and you're not allowed to be logged in while you're at work. Okay, during your scheduled class time. I mean, I'm just.
I have a question. I have a question about that.
Mhm.
How about if I'm allowed, my job allows me to get my class done?
No, this isn't my rule, Walter. This is the university's rule. Okay, so That's,
Oh.
no, I mean, I guess the initial answer is no, because it says you're not allowed to be logged on while at work.
I think it's
Okay.
fine if you're like in the break, like your job allows you to like leave the floor and sit down and be on your laptop, like no interruptions. I think they just don't want you like have your phone in your pocket while like you're working, like you're not
Right,
getting
that's what
done.
that's what I was saying. Because
Okay.
my job is flexible with school. So if I get called in to go on a Monday, I can tell them I have a class and they will agree to give me the 2 hours off, and
Okay,
it won't
I'll double
affect
check. I'll
anything.
double check with Dean Brown to see if that's okay. Again, it's not my rule. It's the university's rule. Okay, so,
I
as it-
understand. I understand.
okay. 7 keys, I'd like for you to review this on your own. It's slide 10. I'm assuming that you're far enough into the program where you're already practicing this. Certainly review your work that's due each week, complete the reading assignments. That should be done prior to coming to class. We don't have an interactive lesson, so don't worry about step 3. And then attending live sessions is mandatory. Make sure with all your assignments, you're reading rubrics, because that's the way I grade, through rubrics. Read those before you start. And then complete all assignments, study and complete exams. Be successful. Hopefully you're all doing this as well. Keep in contact with me, have a reliable internet connection, maintain a schedule for completing your schoolwork, identify a quiet place free from distractions, read all assignments, log in 4 to 5 times a week. I've seen that some of you have most of you have logged into the module, but some of you haven't. Review course announcements at least weekly. I send out things all the time. That's my way to communicate with you guys. So I'm sending things out. I wouldn't, at the beginning, probably daily or every couple of days. And then once we get our groove on, we can, it's not that frequent, but I'd be checking pretty frequently if I were you. And then submitting all assignments when they're due. And here's the red: early submissions will affect your later attendance and cause you to, quote, miss the class if you don't have the 2 submissions. Okay. You can read through slide 12 on your own. You should all know this routine getting started about printing the syllabus, click on instructor information. Again, your mandatory live sessions. I don't like to hear myself talk for 2 hours. And so I really like it to be interactive. And, if you've done your part preparing for the class and are familiar with the material, it should be interactive. Okay. Professor Dr. Kershaw is the other PN instructor, and her and I will come up with a schedule for exam review sessions. The exams for this course are in weeks 4, 7, and 10. And you should have seen that on your syllabus. We'll encourage you to attend the exam review sessions. Those are in addition to the weekly lecture. Usually we try and do them, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whenever before the week of the exam. Okay. Let's see, attendance is taken at review sessions so that we both can let each other know if our students have been to them. And then one-on-one tutoring, that's certainly available. I would like for you to do your part before you schedule a one-on-one tutoring, and we will review what you don't understand. Okay, I don't use tutoring to kind of review everything we just went over. It's what you don't understand. Okay, and students, we have tracked that students that participate actively in these 2 interventions tend to have higher test scores, as many as 20 points higher. Here's the breakdown which is in the module, the syllabus as well. 3 unit exams are the HESI at the end, and then there's 5 quizzes, 5. So those are your KGAs, and then here's your assignments that we'll be doing during the term. Community research project, HESI prep, which I'll show you your 4 NCLEX assignments, 2 case studies, and 2 discussion questions, and then your weekly live sessions. Okay. So that's probably a page you want to review. And then somewhere after the first exam, maybe going into the second exam, I'll turn on the homework grades so you can see how your homework is affecting. And you guys all know this, right? You don't do your homework and you end up close to a 78, 80 with your KGAs. What's going to happen?
Gonna drop you down.
It's going to drop you down. You're going to fail the class because of homework, right? Okay, everybody at this point should be have an account with ExamSoft, right, to take your exams. Okay, you can read through slides. I would, before week 4, I would just double check, go into ExamSoft and make sure your account is still active and there are no issues. Okay, so you can read slide 19 on your own. Anybody that has previous accommodations, please let me know at the beginning, at like this week. Okay, just because you had accommodations last term, they don't automatically roll over. Dean Brown has to review them every term. So if anybody has accommodations, please let me know. Okay, and then exams, you have to take them during this. You guys will be Monday 3 to 5. Unless something's going on, emergency, and we need to reschedule. Okay. The other thing before I forget, if anybody is repeating this class, if you could just send me a separate email. Okay, I will know who's repeating when we get official rosters, but that's not till week 3. So if you are repeating, let me know. Okay, and you've all taken exams with, they're being proctored, right? You're asked by me, you show ID, you look at I look at the workspace, right? You know all that, right? Yes. Missed exams, if you're a no-show, you'll have up to, I believe, a week to complete it. Well, exams missed without prior notice is an automatic 0. Okay, exams missed for personal reasons will result in a late penalty. That's the 10%. And then exams missed due to emergencies, there are some requirements. You have to provide documentation. Okay, so have a look at slide 22. So contacting your instructors with issues after you've submitted your exam we're not going to be able to work with you if your exam's already been completed. So again, that goes back to the importance of my communication with me up front. Okay, homework, you guys can read slide 26 on your own. I'm assuming you're already doing this. You're effectively planning, prioritizing, completing your work, and submitting your work. Everybody has a different organizational way they do things. This is suggesting a calendar. I use a calendar. I use it on my phone. I use it all the time. Anytime something comes up, I plug it in, but everybody's got their own way of doing things. You just, taking 3 classes, you just need to be organized. Here's the late work again, 1 to 7, 10%. After day 7, nothing. Okay, and I can't stress enough, this late work will not be accepted without prior written approval. Just communicate with me. That's all I ask. Okay, does everybody know how to get into their NCLEX questions? Have you guys done NCLEX before this class?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to go through NCLEX. All I will tell you though is you have to submit the PDF through the module. Start all NCLEX assignments through the link in the module. Don't go in through evolve.com because you're not going to be able to submit it. Okay, it has to go through the module. And you guys all know at this point that we don't accept screenshots, right? So you can't send me a screenshot. You've got to do all your assignments through the links in the module. Just save yourself any headaches. Just do them all through the module. Okay. A lot of students don't know this, but once you submit your NCLEX, upload it, that's what you submit. But you can keep repeating the questions as many times as you want to get a higher score and just submit the highest score. I mean, anytime, you'll hear me say over and over again, anytime you can get rationales with your assignments, rationales are an absolutely phenomenal learning tool. Okay, and NCLEX comes with rationales. Why'd you get the question wrong? So keep doing it. Keep rereading through those rationales. Okay, that's how you learn. And then if anybody submits to me anything lower than 40, like if they send me a NCLEX, it's a 30, 40 or 39 or below, I'm just going to send you a message that, you know, I encourage you to redo the assignment for a higher grade, but more importantly, to redo it for the rationales to learn why you got a 39. And so I'll send you an email that says, I've reopened it for you. And that's for your own benefit. You don't have to do it, but it's for your own benefit. Here's your screenshots are not acceptable. And then with NCLEX, please remember to do a 50 question submission or request. Don't do 225s, don't do five sets of 10. You've got to do the 50 because we've set up all the different topics for you to enter in, and it's based on a group of 50 questions. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Case studies, the links are already in your modules. Okay, go through the Canvas, go through the module to access your case studies. Don't try and go and evolve. Okay, and then here's the second one. Case studies accessed through your Evolve account will not be accepted without prior approval. It's just a huge headache because it's just a headache. Just do it through your module. With your case studies, the grades will automatically transfer into the grade book. I get them automatically. You no need to submit anything to me. Okay, screenshots not accepted. Let your instructor know if you're repeating the course to have your previous work reset. That's why I asked you to let me know. Writing papers, discussion posts. Here's where I always mention student resources. You guys have so many student resources available to you in that front part of the shell. It's amazing. Okay, so please use your student resources for writing papers for APA format. Okay, you know where to find rubrics, right? It's in, we'll go through that. You guys know where to find rubrics. Tips for papers. I'm going to send you some additional information as well. Taking exams. Oh, you guys know 75 minutes. You can only complete it once. If you start the exam, you must complete it. You'll not get another opportunity. This is HESI. We will discuss this down the road. Okay, we don't need to discuss it. It's the same process. You take it, you get based on your score, you get a remediation packet, right? And you complete that by the Monday of week 12. So you guys will be taking that. Well, I don't know, HESI, I don't know when you'll be taking it, but you have the follow up until the following Monday of week 12. Okay, exam security. What I spend week, let's see, HESI is in week 11. I will spend this class time in week 10 doing a full 2-hour HESI review. Okay, so the 3 exam reviews we do separately outside of class, but I will spend week 10 giving you guys a HESI review. And that's the week we open up that you have to attend this class for the HESI review, but you will also have the opportunity to attend any of my other classes, my other 2 plus Dr. Kershaw's 2 classes. So you can go to as many HESI reviews as you want that week. Okay, and then we'll be sending out recordings of everything, of exam 1, 2, 3, and then the HESI reviews. Dr. Kershaw and I will be sending out each other's recordings to all of our students. So, but please use a recording as a plan B. Please try and get to a live session. And I don't know when our live sessions are going to be for week 4 yet. I haven't got that far. Thank you for your time. So, any questions on the PowerPoint? Great. Okay, let's move in here. Syllabus. Can everybody still see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, no questions so far. Okay. Okay, hopefully everybody has a copy of this already. Student learning outcomes you can review, course objectives you can review. Instructional methods during this term will be lecture, discussion during lecture, homework, required readings, assignments and projects, paper, group activities, online education. Here's your 3 books that we've already gone through that I need to sort out. Here's some other resources you have in your reference package and the resource center. Okay. Again, anybody with accommodations, we need to get going on that for this term now. Okay. You guys have a handbook, professional conduct. Okay, grading. You guys all know the gig with grading, right? You have to have a KGA of 78 before your homework's added in. Everybody knows that, right? If you don't have a KGA of 78, your homework does not get added in. If you have a KGA of 78 and you haven't done your homework, you end up failing the class. Okay. Expected times, time spent. I'm sorry, grading scale. This is on the syllabus, on everybody's syllabus. Here's all the things we do during the term. This is specific to our class. Again, the review of the late work policy, that's in there. And now we're at week 1. Okay, so this is how you read the module. You take a look at week 1. What are the concepts we're going to cover? Okay, introduction to community nursing, levels of healthcare prevention, healthy people 2030, introduction to vulnerability. Okay, here's your reading. You're expected to read chapter 1 in DeWitt, but sounds like you guys don't even have that book. And then community care page 15. Med surge. Wait a minute, hang on. Yeah, in your fundamentals book, chapter 1, right? Let's see. Chapter 1. Oh, and then your med surge book, page 59. Okay, we're also expected to look at healthy people 2030. That's what that link is. Okay, and then these 4 concepts, I don't know if anybody noticed, did you guys go through your week 1 module that you have a education sheet, education page with each of these 4? Okay, and begin HESI prep assignment. I'll go over what that is. And then this week you have the assignment, discussion question. This is what's due, right? Pick a vulnerable population in your community and describe resources available in your community as well as resources this population needs but is available. Okay, so service gaps. So that's due Wednesday, your initial response. Okay. And then again, we'll just cover next week real quick. Here's the concepts we're going to cover. Here is all your reading. And it's nice because we've broken it down for you to specific pages that you have to read, not the whole chapter. So this is great. Okay. So that's your reading. And then next week we have another discussion question. Okay. And then we also have quiz 1, which we'll go through in the module. So anyway, that's your module, or that's your syllabus. Okay. This is what I sent you earlier, right before class. This is your syllabus cover sheet. So I know you have all my personal information in the announcements. I get that, but here's the official syllabus cover sheet. So it goes through I always like to do office hours if people want it the hour before class. So here it would be 2 to 3. Okay. Eastern, and everything's Eastern time. All right. So you can, I don't get on at 2 o'clock and just hang out. If you want to utilize that time, let me know and we'll schedule an appointment. Okay. And then the other thing is I'm available whenever. I told you that at the beginning. I can be flexible. I can meet on the weekends. I can be flexible with you guys. I just have to establish an official office hour. Okay. And that's my office hour officially. But again, like I said, I'm very, very flexible. Here's my email. Here's my Zoom meeting ID, and the Zoom link is down here. Here's our class. Okay, and here's 3 important dates. Start date today, withdrawal date, if you're going to withdraw from the class by 9/2. So anybody thinking about that? 9/2, and then the course ends on 10/2. Okay, so you guys all have that. It's in your announcements. Okay, this I'm going to send you. I didn't want to send it to you and have you guys be confused. I want to review it with you. Okay, so this is, I think this is new this term. This is called a HESI prep assignment. So over the course, and you'll end up having to turn this in, I think, let's see. You'll end up having to turn that in, I think, towards the edge. Let me look. Submit HESI, oh, no. Submit HESI prep assignment, that's in week 9. Okay, so that's after all the materials covered. So this is a list of topics that are going to be covered on your HESI. Okay, and we'll be covering these in class. To some, it may be an introduction to, but you'll be responsible for all this information. So what I would do is print this out. And each week as we cover different things, fill this in. Okay, put your notes in here. Maybe this is your note, note taker document during class. Make sense?
Where can we get the form? Where is it at?
I just said, Walter, I didn't send it out yet because I didn't want you guys to be confused. I'm going to send it out after class.
Okay, sorry, I apologize.
That's okay. I haven't sent it yet. So anyway, that's what this is supposed to be used for. Okay. So it's a pretty long one, but these are all the topics that are covered on the HESI. So once I send that to you, I would encourage you to print that one out and use as your, like I said, for taking notes the whole term. And the goal is to have every single one of those boxes filled in. Right? Okay, so that's the HESI assignments. You can start it now. It's expected to be started now. So, okay, and then let's see, syllabus. Okay, hopefully my internet holds up. We got a kind of a big storm blowing through here. I am up in northern Wisconsin. I'm from Colorado, but I'm up here for the summer and the fall. We're way up in rural Wisconsin. And so I do have internet, but hopefully looks pretty nasty out there. So I'll be sending these out every week with, week 1 announcement. I'm going to send week 1 notes. Week 2 announcements. I'm going to send week 2 notes. These are the things we'll be covering. today. Okay, and so so this information in your notes should be covered in all of your reading materials. Does that make sense? So, and I'll show you that when we get to the module, but between your reading, your education pages in each module, these notes should cover it all. So that when we go to do exam review, we're going to be reviewing notes. Okay, and we're going to be reviewing your HESI. You know, the nice thing about this course is all the dots are connected. So the notes should cover all the assignments and expected reading. Questions? Does somebody have a question?
So until then, until we get like the book situation figured out, do you think we will be able to find the sections that we were supposed to read in I know in the Williams book it still had the same chapter, the first chapter, but I don't know about the Med Search book. I didn't.
Okay. You know, what I would do for this week is focus on these notes. Okay, this is just really, instead of notes, really what it is a study guide. That's what it is. It's a study guide. This is what we're going to be covering. So I may end up changing that from changing notes to study guide or topics covered. Okay, but this is an excellent summary of what we're going to be covering today. So I would be printing out the notes each week and taking notes on this. Okay. And I try, since this is a Monday class, I try and send out my weekly announcements like on Saturday. Not that everybody's thinking community over the weekend, but I like for you to have it a couple of days early in case some of you are thinking about community over the weekend or trying to, you know, start your week. So I try and get it out Saturday for my Monday classes, definitely. Okay, so this is, hopefully we'll have time to review this. That's all I want to get through the syllabus and then or all this other stuff, and then we'll go start going through the notes. So let's see. Okay, questions. So here is, I'm going to go, this is my shell for you guys. I'm going to go into, I always like to go into student view because I like to see what you guys see. Okay, so my purple bar at the bottom means that I'm in your view. Okay, so as you can see, I sent you the syllabus cover sheet. Okay, and I wanted to, has everybody had a chance to read this front page? This is a summary of this class. Can everybody pull this up, please? And let's read through this together. Has anybody had a chance to read it? And if not, why don't you read it now? Why don't you read that now? This summary page, not very long. Okay. So what's important here is this is what we're going to be focusing on this term, right? You're going to be introduced to explore, you know, what your role as an LVN with collaboration within a healthcare team, which is critically important, wellness promotion. Like somebody said at the beginning, healthcare delivery in environments such as home, clinics, diagnostic-based care centers, taking care of individuals with chronic illnesses, caring for HIV, and then how do we care for vulnerable populations? Okay, so we're gonna focus on how do we use our nursing process. I'm assuming everybody's heard of ADPI. Everybody heard of ADPI? the nursing process. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
There you are.
There I am. I had to go move. Had to go move to try and get better Wi-Fi. Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Everybody still with me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so did everybody read that? What the course is going to be about? Anybody have any questions about that? Let's go into announcements. And again, I'm still in the student view. So I'm seeing what you're seeing. Yeah, I gotta get all that out. Okay. So you have your cover sheet, which we just went through. Here's your announcement about schedule changes from Dean Brown. So Walter, you need to read this one. Okay. Your week 1 announcement. I like to do weekly announcements that really is a summary of the syllabus. Okay. So again, hopefully everybody has seen this. I've just kind of copy and pasted from the syllabus. Here's your notes that we talked about. Here's the concepts to be covered, which is that left-hand column on your syllabus. The readings are the middle column. And the assignments are the right column. Okay. And there's your, here, save that because this is the Zoom link for everything. Okay. I'll be using that. We'll use that Zoom link for classes. We'll use it for live reviews. We'll use it for tutoring. Okay. Okay. And again, make sure you look at rubrics. And then I don't know if you guys all read far enough into here, but and I haven't checked Course Cafe by Sunday the 17th. This is always, I always double check.
I try to do the Course Cafe, but it's not available for us.
Oh, is that others too?
I mean, for me, I try and it said I have no permission for it or whatever.
Has anybody that's on here been able to post in Course Cafe? Or are you having the same issues as Walter?
I never tried. I'm about to try it now.
Yeah, try it for me. That would be great. Okay, so that's that announcement, week 1. So you'll get this every week. Okay. And then you don't have it. Okay, that's good to know. Welcome from Dean Brown. That you should have seen that. Here's the one where you have you have here's your orientation PowerPoint right here, right down here. So we went through it. If you want to review it, there it is. But what I want to mention is a lot of you have done this technology literacy check and syllabus quiz because it's populated in the grade book, but probably half of you haven't. And it says that you can't access anything, the course shell, the module, until you've completed that. Okay. So it takes a minute, takes just a little bit to complete each one of them. Super easy. So for those of you that haven't done it, please go in and do that. Try and do that today, please. Okay. Live sessions, attendance, we went through that. So again, I'm just making sure everybody's getting these announcements, okay? And want to see if anybody had any questions about any of the announcements I've posted. I don't need to I'm not going to review class online etiquette and expectations. Okay. So I want you to review that. Okay. I have not had no, I shouldn't say that. I have had very few issues with etiquette. Very few. So I don't anticipate any problems at all. Here's your syllabus, right? We've already gone through that. Does my Zoom link populate into here? Let's see what comes up here. Ooh. Do you want me to populate my Zoom into here? Would that be helpful or?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. Okay. I have two things to do now. Oh, what was the first thing I had to do? Oh, Course Cafe. Right? And Zoom link into Shell. Okay. All right. Modules. Okay, so here's where all your learning, most of your learning is going to take place. Okay, so here's how, I don't know if you guys access this, but you guys have a ton of student resources, a ton. Okay. There's the books. I mean, but look at, I mean, do you guys use these student resources? It's really, it's amazing how many student resources you have. Writing Center, how to write APA. Here's your getting started. There's your, for those of you who haven't done it, there's the two things you have to do. Do that sooner rather than later. Okay, now why can't I get into modules here? Week 1.
Because
Okay.
you need to do that first two.
Oh, because I haven't done the, okay. Yeah, I got to go back to, all right, you're right.
When you click the student resource tab, like when you click on the little link that had the books, it say access required for that too.
Right. And so I asked about that over the weekend, and Dean Brown had said to me that you have all these books in your other classes. Now, granted, I know we don't have some of the right edition ones, but you should already have the fundamentals book. It's the wrong edition. We'll figure it out. And you should already have your med surg book. Wrong edition. We'll figure it out. But apparently you already have the correct maternity book. So that should already be preloaded in your library.
I get it
Okay.
now, because when I talked to the lady at the school, she was saying all of our stuff, all of our books are ebooks. So I'm guessing that's what she meant, like the student resources. But they told you guys that we have
Exactly.
copy.
That's exactly right. That's the same answer I got. Okay. So let's see. Week 1, I would encourage you, when you get my announcement on the weekend or before class Monday, I hope that you go through each of the pages. You guys know how to do this, right? You just, here's our overview for week 1. Okay, here's what we're going to be covering. This was already in the syllabus. Everything's connected. Okay, this isn't all new information. It's just being repeated in different places. Okay, here's your readings. So I copy and pasted this into my announcement. All right. And I just like to skip through all the links so you guys every week. Okay, so here's the second part. Okay, this is new this term. So the last page gave you your readings. Okay, and it says on our syllabus, we're going to be covering that you're responsible for readings, and then a drop down goes through concepts. And there were 4 concepts listed for week 1, and here they are. So you do need to read these pages. This is going to be exam material. So your readings, and then we go into these 4 concept pages. So the first one is Introduction to Community Nursing. Okay, and you'll find, let me finish my thought. The second one, and this is right in your syllabus, that these 4 concepts are going to be covered. Levels of healthcare prevention is the second one. And it's all outlined for you here. This is what I'm going to be teaching from. What's Healthy People 2030? That's your third one. And again, like I said, this is all outlined on the left side of week 1 in the left column in your syllabus. And then introduction to vulnerability. So we're already pulling out the information that is important. So what I was going to say is that when you go through your notes have been compiled from a few different places. They have been compiled from your readings and from these concept pages. Does that make sense? So it's not all additional information. It should all be, and I know I probably need to tweak the notes a little bit, but I wanted to send you what I had. So don't flip out if all the notes, you can't go in through and say, check, that's in the introduction to vulnerability page. Check, that's in the introduction to community nursing page. Does that make sense? But ultimately, that's what it should all match up. I know this is kind of detail oriented, but I just don't want you to be overwhelmed. And as I always tell community students, I think this is a fun class. Okay, this gets you out of the med surge, gets you out of the maternity, gets you out of the peds with clinicals, and gets you kind of out of the hospital setting. You know, now you're functioning in a community. I say sit back and enjoy this class. It's not hard, and there's not that many assignments. And most of what we do, it doesn't matter where you work outside the community, whether it's a hospital or it just doesn't matter. You're going to be involved in community nursing in some way, whether you're transitioning somebody from the hospital to home or a rehab facility. Does that make sense? So just try and think of this class differently. I think it is a nice balance to your other classes. I mean, your other 2 classes this term probably involve clinicals and sims and labs. This is none of that. And community nursing is huge, and it really has been very, what's the word? The last 2 years with our pandemic, community nursing has really risen to the top because COVID's a public health issue. Public health is community health, right? So community nurses have really been elevated, their roles and how important it is and how much they do and how many different things that, you know, tasks that they perform. So anyway, so does that make sense? All right, so we've gone through the readings, the 4 concept pages. And then here's your discussion 1. Here's your choose a vulnerable population. Then the other thing I'd like to point out to you guys is there's your assignment, pick a vulnerable population, but we also, in response posts, we also give you a recommendation of what you want to respond to. When you respond to your peers, it's not like, oh, good job, or well done, or good idea. There has to be some juice to it, some meaning to it. So we actually give you some suggestions. You can use them or not. So for example, it says in your responses to your classmates, maybe recommend and discuss another service that you think would benefit the population. Okay, so let's say you're commenting on somebody who did the homeless population. Maybe suggest something else. So the goal is to further discussion. Now, there's only 2 discussion assignments in this term, and it comes up in weeks 1 and 2. So then they're done. Okay, and then with regards to my grading, I like to grade ahead. And so if you all turn in your initial discussion posts on Wednesday, I can't grade them till the finished assignment is done, which is the 2 peer responses. So I always go online, you know, if by Thursday or Friday, you submitted some peer responses, I'll try and start grading those Thursday or Friday. I don't wait till Monday or Tuesday to grade everything. Sometimes I have to, because most assignments aren't due till Sunday night, but I start looking over the weekend. If things have been turned in over the weekend, I'll start grading over the weekend. And if you ever want to submit something to me ahead of time, hey, take a look at this, you know, take a look at this paper and tell me what you think. and I'll give you suggestions before you submit it. Okay, I'm really open to working with you guys. We both have one goal, finish over the finish line for community. And I'll do whatever I can to assist you, but I expect you to do your part too. Okay? And again, I'm super easy. Up, somebody has already posted. So awesome. What's next? And then your attestation. Okay, so I don't think we have completion of this quiz confirms your, hang on. I thought we didn't have a quiz till week 2. Okay, yeah, so the only thing, there's not a quiz every week, but there are like 5 quizzes and they count for like 1% or something, but they're part of KGA. So on the off weeks, it just says, I attended week 1 lecture on this date, and you input the data, right? Whereas in week 2, when your first quiz comes up, okay, so when you scroll through your module, right, it says quiz 1, preview, and I think there's 10 questions. And they're on the topics we covered. Okay, so that's an assignment. Okay, so wait to come to lecture, because we should be covering the quiz material in lecture. Okay. So that's what I do. I like to go through each week, just scroll through the module. So we went through, just to look, we went through the overview. You won't know what the reading is. And then here's your 4 concept pages, right? And then here's your assignment, week 1. And then here's your attestation. So for next week, we do a week 2 overview. Again, this is all from the syllabus. You know what your readings are. And then we have 2 concept pages next week, in addition to your reading. Introduction to the school nurse. What about lead exposure? And then here's your second assignment, or assignment for your second discussion question, your first quiz. And then you always have to go into your attestation and say, yes, I attended class on July 11th at Marvel, July 18th, Marvel. Okay. And so on. And again, week 3, here's your reading, but we have 4 additional concepts we're going to cover. We're going to cover migrant farm workers, rural populations, homelessness, and poverty. And there's a, I wouldn't say a cheat sheet. It's not a cheat sheet. It's a education page of, this is what we're going to cover. This is what we need you to know about migrant farm workers. It's all right in your module. It's awesome. I mean, it's all very, very well organized for you guys. And again, there's some reading in your textbooks, but what they've done is they got rid of PNR used to use the community book that the RN program uses, and that has now been eliminated. And they've chosen these 3 books, Med-Surg, Fundamentals, and Maternity, and picked out parts of each book to use with community. So that's what's going on. And I think it's a great move. So this is the first term I've taught with the 3 books. But again, so much is already outlined. Everything else is outlined for you in these modules. The only thing that's not in the modules is the actual reading. But like in week 2, we kind of briefly did this, but week 2 readings, I mean, look, pediatric textbook, here's your pages you need to read. That's pretty cool, right? So anyway, so that's how I like to do the modules. I like to go through, well, obviously in the week we're in, I'll go through week 1 this week, And then in week 2, we'll do the same thing. But I like to try and cover week 2 just a teeny bit in week 1 so you know what's coming up. I'm not trying to do your work for you, but just trying to give you a preview. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Is this helpful to go through it like this? I know it's pretty detailed and I know I talk a lot, but I want you guys to relax and realize that this is not a hard class. This is a fun class, I think. Give me your feedback before we go into week 1 material. What are you guys thinking so far?
I think it's better than the other classes that I had before, with which you go to the reading and it only tells you, you know, the chapter, and you go to the book and you have to read the whole thing. That's a plus because you're cutting the searching, you know, you go directly to the point. I like that.
It's really targeted, focused teaching. And it's targeted and focused as to what's going to be covered on exams and the HESI, which is great. So I'd like to hear from others. In fact, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. I'd like to hear from others other than Walter. Not that I don't like hearing from Walter, but I don't like to call on people, but go ahead.
It seemed like it's very straightforward as far as, like you say, with everything being in the notes.
It's very straightforward.
I was looking at the notes, so it basically with the readings that you showed, it's really like if you're reading the notes and doing the reading, it's like in order.
Exactly. And then you add those concepts.
Yeah.
So if you look at your notes,
it's mainly touching bases of everything in order.
So if you look at your notes, which is a summary, which is what I'm going to cover now. Yep. We're going to go through the notes now. That's a summary of everything that we need to cover this week. Then I would like for you to go back and do your readings and read your 4 concept pages, right? After we cover the notes. And then the last thing that I'd like you to do is pull out that HESI guide that I'm going to send you after class and start saying, oh yeah, we covered that today. Here's you, or if you don't have time to, be detailed, just write week 1 in the little box. That way, you can go back and that topic was covered in week 1. But that's a really good HESI. That's a really good HESI study guide. But don't wait too long to fill in those boxes with more detailed information because you'll forget. At least do it before we start week 2. Does that make sense? But there's several topics that you'll be able to check right in the box for that HESI study guide from just this week. So that's my suggestion. That's just my organized, crazy way of thinking, is to, get it done in the first week.
And to be honest, looking over the week 1 notes on the first page, I haven't read. I just looked at the first page. It's really basically going everything. It's touching bases with things that we just went over in Med Surg 1.
Exactly. So this class is not meant to be hard. It's not meant to trick you into, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about community. It's just meant to open up your minds into learning a different aspect of nursing, right? You learn how to be a med surg nurse. You learn how to be an OB nurse. Well, you can learn how to be a community nurse. Community nursing is kind of cool, actually. My school nursing is considered community nurse. What other kinds of nurses could be community nurses? School nurse? Hospice nurse? Is she work in the community? Or can she work in the community?
Jail.
Yeah. Corrections?
Yep.
Yeah. Home health?
Is home health counts?
Home
Because
health?
that's hospice, isn't it?
Yeah, home health, hospice. What about occupational? That's all in the
Assisted
community,
living.
work related. What about faith? Faith community nursing. That's done out in the community.
Or maybe rehabilitation as well.
Pardon me? Yeah, yeah.
Rehabilitation.
What about a immunization nurse that works out of the health department? Is that community related? So community
Yes.
nursing wears lots and lots of hats. And as I've told my RN class forever, you bring all your tools in your toolbox to community nursing. Let's say you work on a farm. Let's say you work in rural America and you're it. Right? There's no backup. It's you. All right. You're the faith nurse. You're the home health nurse. You're the hospice nurse. Community, you have to bring all of your previous experience, your OB experience, your PEDS experience, because think about it, community, we're teaching how to take care of people across all spans of life, right? You may be doing a home visit for a well child check, right? On a new baby. You may be doing parenting support for new parents. You may be taking care of the elderly, doing, I don't know, wound care, medication administration. I will have to get exam 1 and 2 reset. Okay, yeah, exactly. Thank you for checking on that, Dimon. Dimon? How do you pronounce?
It's Diamond.
Diamond. Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, do check on that. Thanks. That's exactly why I want everybody to check with ExamSoft, because Diamond already has an issue that she's going to figure out. I know she is.
Yes, ma'am.
So anyway, community, you're caring for you're caring for people across the entire lifespan, infants to elderly. So it really is a mixture of a lot of things, right? You're bringing OB skills, PED skills, mental health skills, fundamentals, med-surg. So anyway, so sit back and enjoy this class. It's not a hard class. It's really interesting. And usually by the end, the students are just amazed at, oh, I never knew. When I poll my students at the beginning of the term, they think of community health as like home health. Community health is synonymous with home health. They don't think of all the other hats that community health nurses wear. Okay, so let's go back into week 1. It's 3. What time is it? Your time? It's 4:25, right? I will. One thing I promise you is I won't go over. I won't. And how I usually like to try and get done. Last term, I had 2 classes that had a class right after me. So I always tried to end 10 minutes early so they could, have a little bit of a break. And then you guys are just cover for another class. So you're exhausted. I get it. So I won't go over and I'll try and get done a little bit early. And so whatever I don't cover, right, you know what you're responsible for. Your notes, your readings, and your concept sheets. And it's all right there in your module, except the readings. Okay, so let's review the notes. Okay, so here they are. Okay, what we need to know is the difference between community-oriented nursing and community-based nursing. And here's the way I like to think about it. Okay, community-oriented, you're trying to, I use silly ways to remember things. You're trying to orient yourself to the community. Okay, so you're primarily focused on like health promotion, okay, rather than illness care. That's what community-based nursing is. So in an effort to orient yourself to the community, you're looking at how can I make this community better? You're focused on health promotion, right? And you're focused on the community as a whole. You want to orient yourself to the whole community. Okay, so that's how I remember it. And then community-based nursing, I think of community-based is you're already based in the community. You are the one taking care of individuals that are ill. Okay, so that's the short version. So let's read the definitions here. Oriented around so you're trying to orient yourself around the community or population. You're primarily focused on health promotion rather than illness care. Okay, and you're also focused on a whole group of people rather than individuals. Okay, so you're trying to get the big picture. Where community-based nursing, you're in the community, obviously. You're caring for individuals in the community. So that's where your home health comes in, hospice, schools, occupational health. Okay, so your illness care instead of health promotion. So that's a stark difference. Okay, so that's the difference. And then what is public health? Right, well, public health is a specialty area that's part of community-oriented nursing. Okay. Public health is mostly focused on primary and secondary prevention. I'm going to jump to this box because we're going to cover this every week. This is all over your exams. This is all over your HESI. You have got to understand what primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention is. Have you done this in any of your other classes? Have you heard these words before?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So tell me what they are. What's primary?
Primary is like when you do like the prevention stage. It's like you're trying to prevent everything that's happening. That's like, your eye, following up on your eye exams. Like, no, that's the wearing, like you're wearing sunglasses, like to protect your eyes, like the first step before you have to treat it.
Okay, so we consider, I do the primary is prevention, secondary is screening, tertiary is
Screening.
treatment. That's how I remember it. Okay, so primary is prevention, right? We're trying to prevent the problem from ever occurring, right? Prevent an illness or injury. Use a helmet, wear your seatbelt, get your immunizations, try and stay active. Okay, what's secondary? I know it's screening, but I think of secondary as early identification, early intervention, early detection. Okay, before it gets out of hand. Okay, so for example, mammogram, yearly blood pressure screening, pap smears. So we're screening for potential problems. Does that make sense? And then tertiary, they already have the issue. Right? They already have it.
Yes.
Diabetes, chronic diseases, whatever, had a stroke, hip replacement. Okay, so in this level, you're trying to help them manage whatever's going on. Okay, so for example, maybe end of life. What do we know they have cancer, we know they're dying. What are we trying to do? Maybe just try and improve the quality of life, minimize the complications.
Comfort care.
Comfort care. And again, here are some other examples. Low sodium diet for diabetics, checking blood sugar in a diabetic, right? Why is checking a blood sugar in a diabetic tertiary?
Because they already have diabetes.
They already have diabetes, exactly. Right? Weight loss for somebody with hypertension. Well, they already have hypertension, so we're gonna talk to them about weight loss. The one thing that I don't want you to, get tripped up on is a lot of times people think of primary as just education. Okay, education to prevent, but education is at every level. All right, so primary, you're educating to prevent. Secondary, you're educating to prevent it from going any further, right? And tertiary, you're educating to help them manage the symptoms. I've just had a history of some students getting hooked up, getting tied up on education only being primary. So I always like to point out that education is part of all three levels. Okay. Let's see. Healthcare reform obviously is necessary because there's unequal access to healthcare, right? It is known that uninsured, underinsured individuals generally receive less preventative care, diagnosed with more things at the advanced stages, right? The Affordable Care Act, what's that? That was an act that improved access to healthcare. Remember when we implemented the Affordable Care Act? It really did give a lot of access to people who couldn't afford health insurance. Okay. And then 3, what is impacting the healthcare system in the US? Uninsured individuals. Okay. I don't know why this is chapter 21. Vulnerability, I need to clean this up. What's vulnerability? We're all vulnerable. Okay. It means we're susceptible to an actual or potential something that may lead to an adverse effect, right? So I may be predisposed to breast cancer. I'm vulnerable to breast cancer based on my family history. Some of you may be vulnerable for heart disease based on your family history. Okay? Genetic risks, natural risks, right? And here's a good example. Not everybody who smokes gets lung cancer. And not everybody with lung cancer smoked. Okay. Next bullet, epidemiological triangle. Okay. Do you guys know what the epidemiological triangle is? It's a combination of the agent, the host, and the environment. That's what makes up the epidemiological triangle. And you'll see this in your readings. Okay. So for example, in community, we talk a lot about the epidemiological triangle. You have to have an agent, which is the virus, the bacteria, the chemical, to infect a host, which is us, right? So think of COVID. COVID, the agent is COVID. The host is us. In the environment, it depends. Depends on what's going on in the environment. Do the environments that say assisted living, long-term care, vulnerable people with compromised immune systems, might that environment be more risky in COVID? Yeah, we found out it was. You know, versus a healthy football team that doesn't have a high risk for COVID and their environment gives them a much lower risk. So the epidemiological triangle simply looks at how those three are interconnected. And think of all the formulas you can come up with between whatever kind of agent, you know, who's your host, and what was the environment like. So somebody give me an example. Let's say, I'll give you another example. Let's say the agent was salmonella in a restaurant, and the host is the family that ate there. Okay. Well, the environment is, who knows? Was there a baby? Was there a baby there or a young kid there? Was there an elderly? I mean, everybody's going to react to the salmonella differently and get sick at different levels. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Vulnerable populations, right? Our culture is full of vulnerable populations, is it not? Full of them. Who's a vulnerable population?
The homeless is one of them.
Mhm.
Homeless,
Pregnant
pregnant
teens.
teens,
Children.
Elderly,
veterans,
Elderly, immunocompromised patients,
Yes.
right? Vulnerable populations may be a very poor community with high unemployment rates. So vulnerable, we think there are vulnerable people, but there are also vulnerable populations in every community. And that's what this first discussion question is asking. Look at your own community, look at your own zip code. No need to do a whole lot of research. You probably already know what you can probably already identify a vulnerable population in your community, right? I know from where I am up here in way up in Wisconsin, the vulnerable populations up here in rural America are mental health. Mental health's a big problem up here. Okay, so that's what, so identify a vulnerable population for this week's assignment. What resources do they have and what resources do they need? Okay. Resilience. What's resilience? The ability to resist succumbing to the health risks. Okay, not all individuals will succumb to the health risks after they're exposed. Okay. Resiliency it talks about is influenced by early life experiences. You can read through this. What's disenfranchisement? Right? People are feeling like they're on the outside of everyone else, forgotten, unimportant, unseen. Think of what COVID did. I was in the schools the last 2 years for COVID. It was a nightmare. And it wasn't so much that I couldn't do all my legwork of when'd you get it, how many days are you exposed. That was all easy stuff. Okay, the hard part of it was the kids all the way from preschool up to high school, right? What happened during COVID? Isolation happened, right? Less social interactions happened, right? Everything was closed. A lot of people suffering now. We are seeing the full effects of COVID. Suicide rates skyrocketed. That's what disenfranchisement is, feeling forgotten, feeling unimportant. All right. Refers to the separation from mainstream society. Okay. Poverty, right here. Poverty and low educational levels are huge. Okay. Poverty drives everything. Think about it. If you are working with an individual, a family, a community that is living in poverty, and that's the other thing, community, when you're talking about community nursing, you could be referring to an individual in the community, a family in the community, a specific part of the population in the community, like the homeless or the pregnant teenagers, a subset of the community, or you could be looking at the community as a whole. So there's different ways you can look at the community, but a community or an individual, a family, a community in poverty is the most vulnerable. And here's why. What does poverty affect? Food security, clothing, education, healthcare, jobs. What else? Poverty is the most important indicator of the risk of whether it's the individual, the family, or a subset of the population. Okay. Poverty and low education levels contribute to social conditions in which disparities occur. What's a disparity? You all know what the word disparity means? Where it's uneven. Okay. Some people have better access to healthcare, some people don't. The poor often live in unsafe areas, work in stressful environments, and have less access to healthy foods, exercises, more likely to be uninsured, right? So when they're uninsured, they're less likely to seek preventative care. And they're more likely to suffer the consequences of preventable illnesses. They don't seek primary care. So their diabetes may not get diagnosed till years down the road, until they need toe amputations. Their cardiac disease might not get diagnosed until they've had a heart attack and they're in the ER. Okay. And then limited social support, less human capital, is caused by little education, little social support, maybe background and upbringing. And then women choose to endure domestic violence because they lack the social support to get help. Okay. I want you to know this: social determinants of health. Okay, what are social determinants? Okay, number one is economic status. Number two is education. Think about it. These things determine the health, the strength of your health in the community. Economic status, education, environmental factors, nutrition, and stress. Okay. Examples: income and social status. A higher income and social status are associated with better health. Just gives you examples of these. Education. Low education is linked with poor health, more stress, low self-confidence. Physical environment. Safe water and clean air. Healthy workplaces, safer homes, communities, roads. Excuse me. All that contributes to good health. But what if you live in a community that is poverty stricken? You may not have safe water, clean air, healthy workplaces. You may live in a community with high crime rate. Okay. Here it is here. So, right at the end here. Oh, my page is frozen. Poverty, right here, this bullet right here. Poverty is the prime. You there? You guys there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
Now we do. Yes.
Oh, I know, my battery's just about out. Okay, I'm almost done. Right here, this bullet. Poverty is the primary cause of vulnerability. We just talked about that. Education plays a role. Age is related on both continuums. So I want you to read about disabilities, veterans in the military. Okay. So before I lose you guys, that's it. I want you to read the rest of those notes. Okay. And then when you read the notes, you should see that information in your readings, in your concept pages. It's that simple. And my last piece of advice is do not blow off this course. Okay, just don't blow it off because you have to pass it to move forward. Okay, and so I realize that it's a 2-credit course. I realize that you have peds and med surg and all that. Just block out a time to get your community work done each week, and then you're done. Okay, because if you go to exam 1, seen it every term, you go to exam 1 in week 4 and you don't do well because It's community. I don't need to study. And you end up with a 50 something or 60 something. Trust me, you're in makeup mode all term. Okay. Don't put yourselves in that situation. Just don't. You don't need to. This course isn't hard. Okay. So just, that's my advice. I've seen it too many times. First exam, people bomb and they go, ugh. You are working to make that up because think about it. Your grades won't go up till exam 2, which is in week 7, which is right around the withdrawal date. Okay, so just don't put yourself in that position. Just like I said, block out some time for community, put it aside, and then focus on your other 2 classes. But don't blow off this class because this is not a class you need to repeat. Nope. So
Okay, thank you so much.
that's me in a nutshell. Feedback. I love feedback too, by the way. I really love feedback. I love getting student evaluations. I love getting feedback and emails. I really like constructive feedback, whether I've met your needs or not, and what I can do differently. So I know I'm from the East Coast, and kind of the Boston in me says, no, I don't like feedback. I love feedback. Love it. It helps me be a better professor to you guys. So 3:48. Oh, the other thing I like to do at the end of every class is everybody go to your attestation right now, because it's one less thing, because you have to complete your attestation within 24 hours. So everybody pull up, go to your module and pull up attestation, week 1 attestation. I'm trying to find it. Hang on. Oh, I don't have it. I'm not going to risk my kid. Everybody have their attestation for week 1. I like to do this before the end of the class because then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So this is 1 submission. You're 1 submission's in. So I think this week it just says, when did you attend class? July 11th, Marvel class, whatever. And then just hit submit. And that way you don't have to worry about getting this done within 24 hours. Okay. And if you choose not to do it now, that's perfectly fine. If you're not, don't have the class pulled up, just make sure it's done by tomorrow night. Because that's the university's policy, is within 24 hours. Okay, so real quick, it's 3:50. I want to give you guys a few minutes, your 10 minutes of the gift of time. For those of you that haven't done technology and syllabus, your next 10 minutes is going to be doing that. Please go get it done. It will take 5 of that. So go get that done. So last question is, just give me some feedback. How was this first class? What are you guys thinking?
I think overall it was good, because when I opened the modules over the weekend, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of reading and I was just like, oh my God, what is this class gonna be about? But once you break everything down, I was like, well, I already know the material now, like
Awesome.
how you down. So I think it was great.
I have a method to my madness. And I'm really trying to stay focused on, what do we need to know? There's a gazillion things we could know about community, but what are you going to be tested on with the HESI? What are you going to be tested on the exams? That's what I like to focus on, and try not to overwhelm you. Any other feedback? Okie dokie. Well, you guys know where to reach me. I'm open to whatever. Just reach out if you need anything. I'll see you next Monday. You'll be getting emails from me if you're not doing your syllabus quiz and technology. Just get it done. And then focus the rest of the week on reading through that module 1. We cover a lot of it, but you still need to do some work on your own. I'm going to sort out Course Cafe, put my Zoom link in your shell, even though it's all over the announcements, I'll put it in there. And then I need to sort out your books. So don't worry about the book reading for right now. Okay. Fundamentals, it was a whole chapter 1. And I think Med Surg, it was 1 page. Don't worry about that right now. Focus on reading all the other stuff in your module and your notes until I can get you an answer on
Okay.
the book. Does that help?
All right,
And
thank you so
also,
much.
Yep.
when I did community last semester, I had dropped within like the first couple of weeks due to something, but they didn't give us a book. We had to actually buy the book on our own.
No, all your books should, what did we say, Walter? They should, somebody told me they're all loaded in your ebook library.
Yes.
There's nothing to
Okay.
buy. There's nothing to buy, but you don't have, either the syllabus is off by an edition or you don't have the right one yet. So I'm checking on that, but there's nothing to buy. These
Okay.
are all uploaded in your e-library. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. All right, you guys, now you have 7 minutes of the gift of time. I took 3 off that I said I wouldn't. So, okay. I'll stay on if anybody has any questions. And we'll go from there. Bye. Nice to meet everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Carol, Teresa. Guys have a question?
I'm gonna email you now, but I just wanted you to know I'm a repeat for this course.
Okay.
I failed it by 2 points last semester. Yeah.
Teresa Jones. Okay, you're a repeat. Okay. So what I like to
Yeah,
do,
Cuyahoga Falls campus.
what I like to
Would you still
do,
like me to email you?
yeah, just so I have it on record, yes. What I like to do is set up weekly meetings if you want with my repeat students, just to make sure they're staying on track.
That will be fine with me.
Okay, so would you like to stay on after class for a few minutes? And that can be our weekly check-in?
Sure, that works for me.
Do you have to be someplace right after class? I know you're just coming from another class.
No, not on Monday.
Okay, you should breeze through this class now. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what you did?
Because I'm
Go ahead.
I'm really just using the same notes from what I used last term because they're the exact same. So I'm just tweaking those notes and like just writing down like different things that you say differently or some that I might have missed that I didn't really quite catch the first time.
Okay. So you know what you did wrong last term and you put a plan in place to correct it for this term, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm really focusing more on just like really breaking it down a little more.
Okay.
Like better for myself to where I understand it. Cause I think the primary, those 3 things there were kind of hard for me to grasp now, but I think I kind of get the gist of it. So like I said, I'm using those notes, so I'm just gonna add to those or just write down different things. And then that HESI thing that you had posted about, that's my first time ever seeing that. So that there should also be helpful for me too.
And know though that, I mean, it's fine to pull your notes from last term, but just so you know, all the exams have been rewritten. There are some changes, but the content of what we're learning hasn't changed, but the exams have changed. Right. So anyway, yes, you can use last term stuff, but there's some changes.
Okay.
All right, so let's just set up a time to stay on for just a few minutes after each class just to check in. If you end up, which I'm sure you will, acing exam 1 and you're feeling good about it and you don't want to stay on after, I'm fine with that. I'm just offering that to you. Okay?
Okay, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Who did you have last term?
Professor Cabe.
You have Cabe, okay. Okay, cool. Was this class helpful to you?
Yes. And then the way that the break